Ooh, Mama needs a ring light. Still warm, guys. Still warm. Hi, I'm Liv, and welcome back to the Book de la Nook. Nook de la Book. It's the Book Nook. If any of you were hoping for a less shenanigans-heavy, slightly delirious video today, sorry! For today's video, I'm going to be talking about my TBR for the Women in Translation month, which is August, aka this month. So the 1st of August was... Okay, whatever the day is now, how many days ago was the 1st of August? That many is the number that's going to come out of my mouth now. Bleh. It's a month about reading women writers who don't write in English and their books translated into English. Or, I suppose, if you are not English first speaking reader, people who, I guess, maybe do write in English and then it translated into your language. I don't know. Women in translation. Women whose books have been translated. That's the key thing. That's what's happening. So I've given myself quite a chunky TBR, as I tend to do, because I just got all excited and went over to my translated fiction shelves and was like, nip, 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 nip. I'm definitely not going to read all of these books, but it gives me some things to choose from. There may be other books that come up as well along the month that I've not heard of yet that come up and I think, oh yes please, so I might read that instead. I believe it's hashtag, never doing that again, hashtag WIT month on Twitter and Instagram, and I think it's at read_WIT are the sort of main sort of Twitter account running things, retweeting things. Just get involved. I will use aforementioned hashtag. I literally just said I was never going to do it again and I did it again. Couldn't help it. Hashtag. I will use aforementioned hashtag on any of my social media stuff when I'm talking about any of these. Don't know why I'm saying that, never mind. And I actually found it really difficult to choose some that, well, because I know I want to read them all, otherwise they wouldn't be on my shelf, so that was tough. So the first three I will talk about are three that I do not have physical copies of, so I will shift. First one is The Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Rijneveld, which is translated from Dutch by Michele Hutchison. That is on the shortlist for the Man Book International Prize as well, which I believe is announced in August, so who knows, maybe I'll be reading a winner when it wins. I don't know, I'm increasing my chances because the next one's also a Man Book International. Short synopsis that I can remember is that it's about a young woman living in the Netherlands who makes a plea to God and then things go dark and twisty and weird, so I'm here for that. So that is one that I will definitely try and read this month. Next one is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. That's translated by Snyder from Japanese. That's another one that's on the Man Booker International shortlist. It's one that a while ago I heard about it and I thought, not sure I'm bothered. But actually, the more I've heard about it, the more I'm very much tempted. I think it's basically about an island where it has the memory police and things are forgotten and eventually the island sort of forgets itself or something like that. So I don't really know why I initially didn't want to read that one, because it sounds dope. Dope. My God. And the third one that I don't have a physical copy of is Things We Lost in the Fire. Now that's by Mariana Enriquez and translated by McDowell from the Spanish. This is one that I've had on my Kindle for bloody ages, and is one that was talked about loads. I can't remember if it was on any long lists or short lists or anything like that. It's a collection of short stories, and I know that Mariana Enriquez's new book, is it Dangers of Smoking in Bed? I think it's coming out early next year, so I really want to finally get round to reading Things We Lost in the Fire so that I can know just how badly I want to read The Dangers of Smoking in Bed. So those are the three I don't have physical copies of. I didn't really shifty up enough, so I may have plastered it over my face. Now for the ones I do have physical copies of, now mainly, oh actually I was going to say they're mainly from like 2 or 3 different publishers, but they're actually not, because on my translated fiction shelves, because that's how I categorise things, maybe one day I'll do a bookshelf tour, who would want that? I have them grouped by publisher as well. Now obviously some of these publishers, so people like Europa Editions don't just do translated fiction, but I've got my Europa chunk and they fall under the translated fiction because it's easier, because I've got more Europa translated than Europa non-translated. Same for things like And Other Stories. Actually, And Other Stories has got its whole shelf to itself, so never mind. Let's just get on with things, shall we? First up, the Iliac Crest. This is an And Other Stories one. This is by Cristina Rivera Garza, and this is translated by Sara Booker, I think from Spanish? Yes, because Sara Booker is a Spanish to English translator. This is one that I think it was Sophie over at Portal and the Pages ages ago read this one. I could be totally wrong and it could have been somebody else entirely, but I feel like it was Sophie. Mentioned this one, and it was another And Other Stories one that had just somehow passed me by, but it was still while I was working at the bookshop, and it came into the shop at the same time. Another copy came into the shop at the same time as I saw Sophie talking about it. I'm talking like a mile a minute again, and I don't really know why, but basically I really want to read this one. Actually, I've just remembered this is one that I accidentally bought 2 copies of because I'd forgotten I already had it. That happens a lot more than I'd like to admit, but I just did, so whoops. I think it's one that deals with gender. There's a man who one night is visited by two people, his former lover and a stranger, and they sort of say that they know his secret and that he's actually a woman, and it all sort of unravels from there. So this one, very excited. And also, can I just say how much I love this cover? I have a real thing about drawing bones. Okay, do with that what you will. But yeah, I really like this sketch of a hip, the Iliac crest. Next up, I'm going to try and read Banana Yoshimoto's Asleep, translated by Michael Emmerich. Forgetting names. This is translated from the Japanese. This is one, Banana Yoshimoto, I've never read. I've never read Kitchen, and I know I'm probably going to get told off by people as much as telling me off for not reading a book. Alright, perspective. But I've never read it, and I was tempted to read that this time around, but this is actually a collection of 3 novellas, so I thought this might be quite a good one to break up some of the other ones that I maybe want to read during this month if I've only quite got the headspace for something short and sweet. I've got 3 novellas in there that I can dip into as and when. Next up is another book that I have been meaning to read for bloody yonks. It's one that for a while I don't think was published over here, and I very nearly bit the bullet and bought a US edition for a good few months. I was sort of hovering over the buy now button for quite a while, but then I finally saw it was coming to the UK, and now it's been out a while and I still haven't read it because I'm useless, and that is Ladivine by Marie NDiaye. Now this is translated from, I have it from the French, by Jordan Stump, which is just a really satisfying name, Jordan Stump. So this is one about a woman who, I think she refuses to admit that her mother is a poor black housekeeper, is what it says on the back, and she ends up sort of lying to her whole family. So I feel like, I know this is just probably too kind of generalisation, and generalisation is probably too basic, very basic bitch of me, but I wonder if I'm going to get vibes from this like The Vanishing Half, but we shall see. But it's one that I've been meaning to read for bloody ages, and I love that cover as well. Love a good double exposure. I love double exposures and drawings of bones. There's something Freudian in here, I'm sure. Next up is a Europa edition. This is the first novel by someone whose second novel I read a couple of years ago and really, really loved, and that is Viola de Grado. This is 70% acrylic, 30% wool. This is translated from the Italian by Michael Reynolds. I have tried where I can to pick ones that are written by women and translated by women, but that doesn't always happen. So this one, I've forgotten most of what I know about this one. Could just read the blurb. It's set in Leeds. It's been winter for a while. Oh yeah, and it's about communication. There we go. I'll link them down below. You can read the blurbs yourself, otherwise this is just going to be a very boring video of me reading books to you. Although, I don't know, maybe you'd be into that. Next up is a small little pamphlet from Strangers Press, and it's for new voices from Korea, and it's actually Europa by Kang, translated by Deborah Smith from the Korean. Now, Kang, you know, I've read Kang's Vegetarian and Human Acts before. I've read bits of the White Book, but not all of it all the way through, and I may dip in and out of that one this month as well, but this is just a slim little pamphlet that I think I can just chuck in a bag one day if I ever go outside again and give it a read. So, and again, the cover, this lime green, the shade of green, it's beautiful. Another one that I've been meaning to read for a while is up next, and that is Seeing Red by Lina Meruane, also translated by Megan McDowell from the Spanish, and this is about a young woman who her eyes hemorrhage, and just that sentence makes me, like, my eyes hurt, but it just sounds absolutely fascinating, and about adjusting to not being able to see, her adjusting to the world around her, and the world around her adjusting to her. So this one sounds really, really good. Very excited by that one. Last but not least is another one that I didn't realise how chunky it was when I bought it, because I hadn't actually seen it in person, so this may not happen this month, or it may be that this one happens this month and a lot of the others don't, but we'll see. And that is The Faculty of Dreams by Sara Stridsberg, and that is translated from the Swedish by Deborah Bragan-Turner. This is one about the would-be assassin of Andy Warhol, who also wrote the Scum Manifesto, and I've forgotten her name because I'm a bad feminist. That is Valerie Solanas, there we go. And this is a book that sort of imagines what happened after she was found dead in a hotel room, so this just sounds really cool and really cool. I've forgotten my words for talking about books, guys. This sounds really cool. And the makeup of it, again, I don't know how much I've talked about it here, that I love books that are sort of make not just straightforward novels, words gone, not just straightforward novels, but this is a kind of makeup of letters and articles and weird bits and bobs, so really quite excited for this one to read it with my face. Sorry, battery died, so you've shifted. Another one, one last one that I am just going to mention because it does fit in with this, is one that I'm reading for Simon's book Hibernation, and that is Crimson by Nviak Cornelissen. Now this is really, really interesting. I was just reading on the back that she wrote it in Greenlandic and actually translated it to Danish herself, and then it was translated from the Danish by, find the name, Livy, find it before you speak, Anna Halliger. So that just sounds really amazing, like it's a double translation. So that one I would have mentioned already on my TBR for the book Hibernation. So that's just adding to August's Women in Translation festivities. That's a word. No. So that's a rather large TBR. That's what she said. I'm mature. Very unlikely that I will actually read all of those. We'll probably deviate from it wildly. But the really fun thing that I found about TBRs is that I don't, as I say, rarely ever stick to them, but it's a really nice way to explore my own bookshelves again, find out what I've got, what I was interested in at the time, am I still interested in it, and things like that. Because as I've mentioned before, I've had a bit of a brain fart lately about how many books I've got that I bought when I was working in the bookshop when I was a different person, and now I'm very different now, and do they all still fit my tastes? So that's what I quite like about TBRs. It gave me the excuse, oh sorry, text message, it gave me the excuse for half an hour to sit and look through my translated fiction shelves, look at what I've still got, what I want to read, what I've read, what I haven't read, things like that. So that's the enjoyment that I get out of TBRs, and I'm not gonna hold myself to too high a standard that I must stick to them and I must only read TBR books and I read no others, and I don't know how much of that sentence came out right, but you get what I'm saying. Rude. Yep, 90% of the time I'm getting a text, it's my sister sending me pictures of her dog. To be fair, it's a very cute dog. That's my TBR. Are you going to be reading any translated fiction by women in August for Women in Translation Month? It would be great if you do. If you are, have a little chat with me in the comments below. Are there any books by women in translation that I have somehow totally missed that are like really blindingly obvious ones or anything like that? Is there anything that you guys, knowing me, think I would like? Anything that you like that you just think I should try? Whether or not you think I'll like it, I don't know, just talk books to me. Talk booky to me. Ashamed. As I suspected, I've waffled on for far too long again, and I'm gonna go now. Goodbye. Read Women in Translation in August. Goodbye.